Did you know that overheating is responsible for an incredible share of engine failures? And when it strikes, the costs aren't small. Repairs can run from a few $100 all the way past $7,000. In this video, we'll show you how to make your cooling system last as long as your car does. And here's why you'll want to stick around. At the very end, we'll share 2 bonus tips. One is a clever step that even experienced mechanics sometimes skip, and the other is a DIY test that could save you from buying a radiator you never really needed. Let's get started. The system that saves your engine and your wallet. Before we tinker with fixes, you need to see what you're protecting. Your engine is a furnace wrapped in precision metal. Every second, controlled micro-explosions hammer out power and heat. Without a cooling system to carry that heat away, metal parts swell. Seals surrender, oil thins, gaskets blow, and within minutes, you're on the shoulder with steam curling out from the grill. The cooling system is the quiet hero that prevents that disaster. It cycles a special fluid through the hot zones, dumps heat up front, and keeps temperatures steady so everything runs in harmony. When this orchestra is in tune, the gauge sits calmly. Fuel economy stays consistent, and your engine lasts years longer than it otherwise would. And when it falls out of tune, you feel it fast, or worse, you don't feel it until something very expensive breaks. That's why today matters. Now that you know what's at stake, let's turn to deceptively simple choices that either protect the system for years or set it up to fail. The coolant myth that costs real money. The first trap is painfully common. Believing coolant is all the same. It isn't. Coolant is not just tinted water. It's a carefully balanced formula designed to absorb heat, resist freezing, elevate the boiling point, and coat metal surfaces in inhibitors that fight rust and corrosion. Use the wrong chemistry in the wrong engine, and those inhibitors can't do their job. Corrosion creeps in, passages narrow, heat transfer gets sloppy, and suddenly you're replacing radiators and water pumps like it's a seasonal trend. If you've had to swap radiators more than once, it's worth asking whether the wrong coolant sneaked into the reservoir at some point. Sometimes the damage takes months to show up, which is why people assume it's random. It's not random, it's chemistry. The fix is simple. Follow your owner's manual for the exact coolant type your engine was engineered for, not the closest color match on the shelf. The specific type. Make it a rule you never break. And here's an expert move that protects you even further when you're mixing concentrate. Dilute only with distilled water. Tap water often brings along minerals and salts that cling to surfaces and set the stage for scale and deposits. Distilled water comes clean, which means the coolant can do its work without dragging impurities through tiny, heat-critical passages. If convenience matters, premixed coolant solves it for you, with an exact ratio out of the jug. Before you top anything up, take a look into your reservoir. The color's off, or if there's debris, pressing pause and moving to a full system service will save you grief later. That brings us to the habit that rejuvenates a tired system like almost nothing else. The flush that resets everything. Coolant doesn't last forever. The inhibitors that prevent rust and electrochemical reactions have a lifespan, and they're used up. And when they're used up, the fluid turns from defender into bystander or worse, into a corrosive cocktail. That's why a coolant flush is the closest thing you have to a reset button for the entire cooling system. You drain the old fluid, you wash out the contaminants and the fine grit clinging to the walls, and you refill with the exact formula your engine expects. Owner's manuals are your compass here. Many recommend changing fluid on a defined interval based on the coolant chemistry in your car. Some green formulas need shorter intervals, while extended life variants stretch the schedule farther. A practical rhythm many experienced techs like is every 30 to 60,000 miles, or roughly every few years. That window keeps inhibitors fresh, scale at bay, and temperatures predictable. If you're wondering whether your car is already asking for a flush, your nose and ears can help. A sweet smell from the engine bay hints at heated coolant venting off somewhere. Persistent temperature creeps suggest the fluid has lost its punch. And a gurgling noise on cold start can mean air is squatting in the passages where coolant should be. Visible discoloration or floating flecks are the most obvious sign. Any of these is your cue. Once you commit to the flush, leverage it. That's the moment to inspect related components that quietly decide whether your engine runs cool, especially one small part that causes outsized pain when it fails. The little gate that controls all that heat. The thermostat is a palm-sized gatekeeper nested between the engine and the radiator. It keeps coolant from circulating too soon when the engine is cold, so you warm up quickly and run efficiently. Then, as the engine reaches operating temperature, it opens and allows the fluid to flow through the radiator, shedding heat to the passing air. It's elegant and simple until it sticks. If it sticks shut, temperature spikes hard and fast. If it sticks open, the engine never stabilizes, running too cool, wasting fuel, and sometimes wearing parts prematurely. Thermostats are inexpensive but critical. Waiting a decade because it still works is like waiting for a smoke alarm battery to fail before replacing it. A safe cadence is 4 to 5 years. Or align it with your flush schedule. When you do replace it, reach for the original equipment spec. The couple extra dollars can feel annoying in the checkout line, but it buys you a part that matches the opening temperature and flow characteristics your engine was calibrated around. Many modern setups use electronically assisted or map-controlled thermostats for more precise regulation. Those are more exact and more delicate, so the conservative replacement rhythm pays off. While the system is open, we land on another part that looks boring, until it doesn't. The cap that holds it all together. There's a quiet myth that any cap will do as long as the opening is covered. That's wrong. The radiator or reservoir cap is a pressure regulator. It locks the cooling system to a designed pressure so the boiling point of the coolant jumps higher. That extra margin is what keeps your fluid from flashing into steam under load. Caps have ratings measured in pounds per square inch. Many cars live around the mid-teens. Some modern vehicles run higher. If the spring weakens, if the rubber cracks, if the steel hardens, your system can't hold pressure. The practical effect is brutal. Coolant boils earlier, bubbles form, circulation stutters, and overheating follows you like a shadow. Here's the move. Anytime you're planning a road trip, give the cap a minute. Look for cracks on the rubber. Check the underside plastic for fatigue. Understand that springs sag with age. If the cap is older than the car's current set of tires, it's probably due. Keep the pressure rating exactly as specified in your manual. And if you already had a cap go bad, be aware that the radiator might have been stressed in the process. We'll cover a quick way to check for that. For now, stay with us because the next item is the kind of cheap insurance that can save your entire engine. Hoses that make or break the system. Radiator hoses carry coolant between the engine, the radiator, and the water pump. They're made to live a hard life. Hot, pressurized, constantly flexing, but rubber ages. Heat cycles harden it, coolant chemistry dries it, vibration abrades it. The result can be cracks, pinhole leaks, or sudden ruptures that empty your coolant in under a minute. The fix is simple and satisfying. Do 2 inspections. When the engine is cold, gently squeeze the upper and lower radiator hoses. A healthy hose feels firm but not rock hard. If you hear a faint crunch, the inner lining is breaking down. Scan the ends where the clamps sit. That's where weeping leaks like to start. Then, with the engine warm and idling, watch for swelling or localized bulges. Any ballooning near a clamp is a warning that the fibers inside have given up. Replace the hose before it chooses its own exit date. If you want to extend life proactively, a light treatment with a rubber restorer applied to the exterior of hoses, not dumped into the engine, can keep the surface supple. In mild climates, once a year is fine. If you see wild summers or icy winters, tighten that interval. Little habits like this turn sudden failures into non-events. And if hoses are the arteries of the system, the radiator is the lungs. Keep them clear and the whole system breathes better. The frontline heat exchanger you forget to clean. The radiator sits in the airflow and trades heat from the coolant to the wind because it lives out front. It's a magnet for everything the road throws at you. Bugs, dust, leaves, road grit, and sometimes even a stray plastic bag that slaps on and stays. Any layer that blankets those fins and restricts airflow is a layer that keeps heat trapped. That trapped heat shows up as persistent temperature climb, especially in traffic or on long grades. A simple rinse works wonders. With the engine cool, spray the radiator and the AC condenser in front of it, from the backside if you can't access it, and then from the front. Use a gentle stream. You're washing, not pressure carving. If you see sections packed with debris, break it up carefully. Do this once or 2 times a year, and especially after long bug-heavy sessions. Inside the radiator, The flush you perform handles deposits you can't see. Between those two, the big aluminum brick up front goes back to doing what it does best, shedding heat. If it still struggles, even when clean and flushed, the problem might not be airflow at all. It might be the fans. Deep airflow and circulation. At highway speeds, airflow does the cooling for you. But in traffic or at a red light, your engine depends entirely on the electric fans behind the radiator. They should wake decisively when you start the engine and switch the AC to max. If your car has two fans, both should run. If only one spins, a hot day will expose the weakness. Most failures are electrical: fuse, relay, sensor, wiring, or the motor itself. Unlike a weak battery or fading pads, dead fans give you no grace period. Heat doesn't negotiate. Circulation is the other half of the story. The water pump pushes coolant through the engine and radiator nonstop. When it falters, hot spots spread and the gauge climbs fast. Watch for a chalky trail at the weep hole, a growling bearing, or erratic temperatures. If you're doing a timing belt, that's the moment to replace the pump. Same labor window. Double the peace of mind. Your cooling system's life comes down to simple choices. Use the exact coolant your car was designed for. Color isn't the spec. And if you mix concentrate, always use distilled water to avoid mineral buildup. Make monthly checks a habit. Reservoir level, hose firmness, and a clear radiator face. And now, those two promised tips. First, always bleed air pockets after a flush or hose change. Hidden bubbles can create hot spots that ruin engines silently. Second, use an inexpensive infrared thermometer to scan your radiator. Cool patches reveal clogs before they strand you or trick you into buying a radiator you don't need. Do this and your temp gauges stay steady, your engine stays healthy, and overheating becomes a problem you'll never face. If this helped, share your worst overheating story below. Send this to a friend who needs it, and hit like and subscribe for more car-saving tips.